And we are live. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Respect the Craft. This is episode number 180. And I'm joined here by an old friend. He is one of the newest voices to Titan Championship Wrestling. My good friend here, Harry Terjanian. What's going on, brother?
Oh,
How's everything,
buddy, it's so good to see you again, man. It's
man?
it's a,
Likewise,
it's
man.
a pleasure. I miss seeing you around, buddy. We used to hang out every show, but it's nice. And I was excited to do it. It's one of those things that you see on other people doing on Facebook, and I'm like, when am I going to get asked? And sure enough, 'cause you don't want to ask, you want to be asked,
No, no, definitely. No, great to be able to do this here. And once I saw, I was like, okay, everything aligns now. Let's talk Titan, but also finally get to talk to you a little bit. Get to talk about everything you've been doing. So, but before we get into all that, I have to
Sure.
ask you the question I ask everyone that comes on. You heard the name of the podcast, so
Yeah.
definitely for you, I want to hear your answer because I know it can go two ways. So, when you hear that term, though, the craft, what does
hmm
that mean for you?
The craft, it's the work, and it's a combination of the work and the art that goes into what you're making. And it's interesting because craft, usually people talk about a craft, it's a physical thing they're making, woodcraft, making furniture. The thing that we do is create art. And so the craft to me is all the work that goes into creating the art, whatever that is for each artist. And so wrestling to me is an art, just like comedy is an art. So it's the work that goes into making. Our craft is not a physical, tangible item. It's a figurative item. It's a form of entertainment. It's a piece of entertainment. So that to me is the craft, whether it's wrestling or comedy or podcasting. And by the way, I want to apologize for my voice. My voice is a little bit shot. I just it's just weird. I don't want people thinking like, oh, he's a commentator. Why would they hire him with that horrible voice?
No, he
Although
definitely has
yeah.
more energy behind the booth, but definitely
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
yeah,
good, brother.
sorry, yeah, but,
So,
between, doing, commentating on wrestling and doing stand-up and podcasting, this weekend, I kind of, overdid it a little bit, but it's gonna be ready for, Friday and Saturday, for Titan, so
definitely so awesome, awesome. Here we go. We already got the comments flowing. We got Nettie in the chat saying A, and then we got my good brother Kenny from the Call Up podcast saying let's go. Thank you guys for tuning in. But definitely let's talk about that though, because you just mentioned how full your platter is right now with when it comes to comedy, when it comes to wrestling, when it comes to podcasting. So let's get into that. How is it for you getting to manage all that though? Because now you're finally getting back into the wrestling game again, because that's how we met, was through
yeah,
wrestling. But
yeah.
I've gotten to see your comedy. I've gotten to listen to you on multiple podcasts. So how is that for you getting to manage all that? And was it not enough just to do one field and decide
Oh,
let's
jeez.
jump into everything? Let's just
You're not
juggle
the only one
all of
asking that.
these.
My girlfriend asks me that all the time. But, she's actually very supportive about it. She loves that, I love creating. I don't know, I definitely grew up with a lot of ADD, so maybe that contributes to it, but anything I ever enjoyed, growing up that entertained me, I wanted to somehow do it and be a part of it. So,
Gotcha.
I always managed to find my way into things. When I grew up, comedy was a big inspiration to me. So, when I turned 18, I started doing stand-up comedy in New York City. So, um, it can also be one of those things that's a little bit like it does take away from your enjoyment. I think it's harder to be a fan when you're working in it, and you see people, whether it's wrestling or comedy, because wrestling and comedy are very similar in their trajectory because it's something you do that is a very exclusive world to a degree, and there's a lot of talented people not being used at times. There's a lot of work that you put into it without any money, or not even if you're getting some money. It's not a very lucrative career when you start out. So you're doing it for the
Yeah.
love of the game. I mean, you're driving hours and hours to do either a set at a comedy club or to wrestle in some VFW hall, but you're doing it for the passion and to learn. So they're very similar. The one thing that wrestling has, of course, is the physicality of it, but there's similar lifestyles. It's a very hard lifestyle where you work as much as you can on whatever holiday you can do it, whatever opportunity, and it's crazy to other people when they have regular jobs that you're trying to live this crazy wild lifestyle that you're fully committed to. So, but to answer your question, about balancing it out. It's not easy. It's hard, you have to do, I mean, the main thing I do is the comedy career, doing stand-up comedy, but I also do the podcast Man School 202 with my friend Dante Nero, for relationship and dating advice, and it's going really well, and I love doing that. Wrestling, I kind of got into. I always wanted to do it in the back of my mind. I got into it by accident. A friend of mine would be, I got to know a friend of mine, Matt,
Yep.
Matt Ryan. And he was a guy who was in the business. I got to know him by just happenstance. And then he started a company, and I was just at the right place at the right time. Literally, I was just hanging around. I would go with him to different shows and stuff and hang out and just watch because I just loved wrestling so much. And then one day, I always wanted to try doing commentary because I also do broadcasting. So I thought it would be a natural fit. There's just never an opportunity. And one day, the guy who was supposed to do the commentary. This is like a very old school story. Like these are like
It's always that moment. It's always just the
it,
someone doesn't make it, and hey, this is why they say bring that gear, bring that voice. You
yeah,
never know.
always have it ready. So one day, sure enough, the guy who was supposed to do the commentary didn't show up. He just didn't show up, and I was able to step in, and I was pretty good at it. But I mean, I still had to learn. I was, I hate listening to those tapes now, but from a guy who had never done it, I was pretty decent at it. I was really happy, and I loved it so much. And from that moment on, I was in. And he started a company, and I started doing that, and it's a tough balance. I'll say this: I have to approach it a little differently, and it makes it difficult because I have a pretty decently successful comedy career, and so it's a balance of paying dues. I got lucky, so I kind of came into wrestling in the back door. I paid my dues in the sense of I worked and helped, from the production side. But when you're trying to get into the graces of a new company, sometimes like I can't take a night off from doing a paid comedy gig to go and help set up the ring. So I'm trying to. It can be a little bit difficult, and I try to approach it as respectfully as I can. And it's not easy because you got to show a lot of face, and it's not always easy because the irony is I'm very busy. I showed up at I forget which one it was during the storm. Wrestling is now, and I showed up, and I think they were going to use me, and I couldn't stick around because I had a booked gig already in the city that I had to get to. So it's a tough balance, and they're very nice to me, and hopefully I'll end up there in some capacity. But the I forget Joe Kim. No, not Joe Kim. I'm forgetting his name. Maximo.
Oh,
Um,
Joel Maximo.
Joel Maximo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forgive me. Super, very sweet dude. And Johnny Cashmere was very nice to me too. He was like, "Hey, we might be able to use you," and I had to be like, "I'm sorry," but it's weird because in a way, you build demand because like, "Hey, I'd love to, but I'm booked somewhere else," and
Yeah.
but it's one of those things that you have to balance that out, and I love it. I love it a lot. So that helps. The fun part with both of these businesses is when you're performing in one way. So as a commentator, I'm performing, or if I'm managing, I'm performing. That's the fun part to me. That's the easy part. The hardest part is networking. The hardest part is trying to convince people to let you to do it. And that's always been the toughest part to me. I can do the job. It's convincing people and also being there at the right time at the right moment
Yeah.
is a tough thing. So yeah, that's
No,
the
definitely.
business part. It's a hard balance, but I like doing it.
Gotcha. No, definitely. And I feel like that's one of those where it's one that intertwines. I can imagine in both businesses, not only just in wrestling, but in comedy as well. That it's one of those where you have to network yourself because who else will?
Yeah.
If you're not the one putting yourself out there, putting your brand out there,
Yeah.
no one else is going to do it for you.
There's a lot of self-promotion too that and
Yeah.
now with this like the social media era, with both things, you got to do a lot of promotion. And it's interesting because the younger generation that comes in, they are doing a lot of promotion. They know how to do that. But they're also some of them you go, well, are you focusing on the actual work? It's the same thing in stand-up. You got people who are very successful because they're masters at social media, but when they get on the stage, it's all right, it's not that great. And then and then there's that aspect in the ring. There are people who are really good at social media and like they're all right in the ring, but they have their brand, they got their t-shirt and all that stuff. The sweet spot is both. You want to do both. Then there are people who are phenomenal in the ring, phenomenal on a comedy stage. They don't know how to market themselves. So you have to which is good for me because that's entertainment, which was a wrestling nickname, but it was given to me because I do everything in entertainment. I broadcast, I podcast, you know, um, I do commentary for MMA. I'm all over the place, acting, comedy, anything that's entertaining. I love doing it.
No, gotcha, definitely so. And here we go. We got Tina in the chat as well. Hey, thank you again for tuning in and showing some support here. But let's get into that though. For you, what was it that made you decide the comedy route? Let's go into that passion for a minute here. What was it for you that made you just say, not only are you interested in it, a fan of it, but you want to try your knack at it as well. You want to jump in and see what works here.
As a kid, I was always very shy, and I kind of kept to myself a lot.
Okay.
And I grew up in kind of a turbulent household, a loving household, but I have immigrant parents, and adjusting to America is difficult. And they're very loving, but they're crazy. They're still crazy to this day. And so you find yourself by yourself and not having a place. And I just found I loved comedy. I love the joy of comedy. I love the creativity of comedy as well. So, I used to anything funny I would try to watch when I was a kid, whatever it was. And I think stand up was just the easiest route for me to do it on my own. So I think I wanted to start doing it when I was about 14, but I spent 4 years writing. I didn't even get on a stage for 4 years just because I was a kid, and I don't even know how I even approach this, or just the idea of, I was just not an adult. So the idea of going into the city by myself to do it was crazy. So I just kept writing and writing and writing, and I was lucky enough to get good at it. Actually, when you spend that much time writing, like any other craft, you're going to stink at it when you first start. You just are. And the nature is you get better little by little. And what I inadvertently did by writing, I had 4 years to piece together like 5 good minutes. And when I started doing comedy, I had a pretty, not an easy time of it, but I wasn't bombing as hard as people usually do. And but the reason was I just love the creativity of it. I love the way that somebody could tell a story. I mean, it's an interesting art form in the sense of it's an art form where there's very few art forms like this. There's literally one person on a stage, and all they have to entertain you with is their thoughts and their ideas. And so it's a fascinating art form to begin with. It's one of the most unique, and it's also one of the most difficult art forms in the world. People don't realize how difficult it is to do it properly. There's very few people in the world who can do it. I'm not saying it's harder. Obviously being a coal miner is harder, but I could probably learn how to be a coal miner if I spent 10 years doing it. I'd probably be a decent coal miner. I know people who've been doing comedy 10 years. They don't know what they're doing. And the same can be true for wrestling. There are people who've been doing it forever. To do it properly it's very difficult. Yeah.
No, definitely so. And again, that's something where I've gotten to see you live. I've gotten to see you
Yeah.
in
And I
comedy. And
appreciate
definitely,
that, man.
it's always just a joy to see and entertaining to see. And it's something definitely I give you that respect for being willing to do that, because it definitely isn't easy to just be like, well, let's see how it goes tonight.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the crowd is into it, because that's
Well,
one of those where wrestling, I feel like, even when a match is not going the best, there's still something the crowd can find. With comedy, I feel like it's, if they're not biting, unfortunately, it might not go just, it might just ruin the whole night.
well, yeah, there's elements of it. I mean, the interesting part that you bring up is like, hey, let's see how it goes tonight, because it's one of the few art forms that requires the audience. Now, wrestling does require the audience for
Yeah.
sure to a degree, but literally, you 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 can have an empty arena match. That's not what you want,
No,
obviously,
definitely. Yeah.
right? But they've had them. You
Yeah.
can't have a stand-up comedy show with no audience, and sometimes there's nights you get on the stage, what I've been doing it for almost 2 decades. I know what I'm doing as a comedian, but sometimes there's difficult audiences. There's audiences that are too drunk, or they're too tired, it's too early, it's too late, and it's your job to build them up. But sometimes you can't control the vibe of an audience, or the comedians that went on before you. Sometimes they'll put on a younger comedian who doesn't know what they're doing, or somebody doesn't have the best night. There's a lot of elements that can go wrong that are out of your control that you have to adjust to. It's still up to you as a performer to raise that level. But there's just a lot of things that are out of your control. and you have to learn how to work with the crowd. But also you have to learn how to work with the crowd. Similar with wrestling, is you have to find the balance of how much the crowd gives to you and how much you impact the crowd, and vice versa. So you have to sometimes it's your job to raise the crowd, and you have to have the skill to know just how to do that at the right moment, and when to cool them down and when to bring them up. So yeah, there's a lot of that.
Gotcha. So now let's get into the wrestling side of things,
Sure.
because I can imagine when it comes to comedy, again, you have that instant reaction. Either they love it, they hate it, they'll let you know in a second. But now when it comes to commentary, it's you won't know what they're thinking till after the fact. So for
Yeah.
you, how is that now transitioning into the commentary role of now just having to hope what you're saying helps engage with the story, or depending on what role you're playing, if it's enhancing the match in a sense.
Well, that's where the broadcasting background comes in a little bit, because I am used to broadcasting without an audience. It's different than stand up.
Gotcha.
But the idea is, you have to imagine what people are listening to and watching, and you have to paint a picture for them. So the thing that I'm doing is trying to create a story and trying to figure out what the story is, or it's not doing commentary for wrestling is very unique, because I've also done it for um non-entertainment sports, like for MMA fights. I've done it for hockey games and whatnot. So the interesting part is you still have to be a legitimate sports broadcaster, and you have to paint a picture of the action that's taking place. But what you're also doing is you're also being a narrator, where you're telling a story and you're creating the story. So you're not just telling the story of what's happening. If you're doing your job properly, you're also supposed to be feeding into the story. So if I know going in that there's something that has to be, you can change the dynamic of a match with your commentary. And that's the thing, that it's kind of an unsung role, especially on the independent circuit, because, budgets are very tight. So you're not going to cut the wrestling budget. You usually cut the commentary budget. But, when you're broadcasting, it's interesting for me. The roles I've had in wrestling involve either doing commentary or managing. And they're very different, and they're a lot of fun. I love being a manager. I love coming out and talking to the crowd, either getting them on my side or getting them to boo. It's a great energy. The thing about the commentator is you're there for the whole show. No one else is the whole show. You're the only one there. Literally nobody else is there for the entire show. They have different referees for every match, different wrestlers for every match. You're there throughout the night. And it's interesting how much involvement you have on the show, and you can affect the show drastically. If you do a good job, you can really paint a picture. If you're Jim Ross, you can really paint a picture of what this means. You can help create the story, make this match important. And if you don't do that, it's just a match. You could make it a flat match that means nothing if
Yeah.
you just call the move. So there's a lot of that you gotta think about, because you're helping create the picture. You're helping write it for the people watching at home, which can be a lot of pressure at times. I enjoy it. Um, the aspect of comedy for me is, when I do the role, my influences were always Bobby Heenan and like Jerry the King Lawler. I like having fun with it. But I try to still present the product as legitimately as possible, as sincerely as possible, and as seriously as possible. And I try to pepper in some lines here and there, but I try not to make it about me, because it's about the product in the ring.
Gotcha. No, definitely. And again, having that
Yeah.
mix and being able to remember, again, it's also to be able to enhance that instead of, I feel like sometimes that's something and again, not to bash anyone, but they forget to work on enhancing it instead of taking almost away from the match itself.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I remember, you watch every once in a while, watch other people's, just clips for research, and you'll see. And again, it's not bashing it. It's no different than a wrestler. Like, they're learning to do it, from scratch to a
yeah,
degree, and they're still practicing. But sometimes you see wrestlers trying to be, or commentators trying to be funny, and then they make it all about themselves, and then they spend 2 minutes talking about pizza, while
yeah,
these two performers are busting their ass in the middle of the ring, and you're not telling a story. You're trying to be funny or get your own character over, and that could be detrimental. That can get annoying. So I try to walk the line of not being too annoying, but I know what I'm doing. So I'm Mr. Entertainment.
There you go.
You're lucky to
See,
have me.
uh, and again, I thank you for that. But here we go. Let's go into there you go. Nettie saying, Harry and Alex, I personally believe have such a good chemistry when it comes to commentary. They're really funny and great. Definitely. You guys have again for a new team as well. That's something that
Yeah.
when you see a new pairing and you're able to flow, it's great to see because that's one of those where
Yeah.
you want that,
We've
especially just getting thrown together. It works.
Yeah, we've only done one show together so far, but it was really good. But shout out to Alex Aceta for he was such a pro. I had met him a couple times, but we didn't really know each other. You
Yeah.
pass by people, and all of a sudden now you're paired again. You're a team now, and he was such a pro because he was more than willing to help me out because I didn't have full knowledge of everybody. I don't. Again, it's New York. The New York scene is such a big scene that there's literally territories within the New York territory where sometimes there's people wrestling for years that you don't cross paths because you're in a different section. In Jersey, it's his own. So Alex was super sweet and very helpful, giving me all the info I needed, the backstory to get caught up on all that stuff, day of the show and leading into it. And that makes it very helpful. And he's also a pro, so he knows what he's doing, so I can focus on what I'm doing. And it's just also just good luck situation. Titan really decided they wanted to up their game, and they went out and found somebody, two people who know what they're doing, and so that's also a testament to Titan for wanting to create a really great product. And now we're on Premiere, so I mean, they're always from my limited time with Titan so far, the level of professionalism that they're showing is incredible. That you don't always see from an independent organization. They really treat it like a professional organization. Behind the scenes, there's production meetings, there's organization, and there's just not the chaos that sometimes you experience. No shade to any other promotion. It's hard to run a promotion. It's hard to run a show. They do such a professional job, and I'm just lucky I got paired with Alex and that we have a good chemistry. I can't wait till we actually get even more comfortable with each other. How great it's going to be. And also it helps. The other thing that helps is the in-ring product. So you could be a really great commentator, and I am, don't get me wrong. But if you're presenting something in the ring that the guys are unprepared, or they're too new, or they don't know what they're doing and they're botching move after, but there's only so much I can do to cover that up or to make it good. The story I can tell, if you're telling a good story in the ring, I can tell a good story on commentary, and I can enhance it even more. And they both work together. So, Titan also really puts a great product on in the ring, which makes it easier to call that and focus on the little details to make it better.
Oh, definitely so. Definitely so. So let's start getting into that. Let's talk about one of the
Sure.
main reasons we're here is to talk about the huge event happening this Saturday. It will be Savage Intentions, a stacked card top to bottom. You guys are not going to want to miss it this Saturday, October the 14th. But also, before we even get to that, it was announced last night, thanks to Titan Championship Wrestling, this little collaboration here is happening, as not only will I be at Mount Olympus, but Respect the Craft will be the official podcast of Mount Olympus this coming November. And stay tuned as we're going to be giving away some tickets. So in the coming weeks, stay tuned as we'll be giving away some tickets so you can be at Mount Olympus.
And that's a big event. I'm excited. It's my first one. I mean, this is, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there's a lot of spots there. Some of them have been announced for the big event, and some of them are a mystery. So I'm excited about. Hey, Ray, you could end up in there. You're a sponsor. I mean, you could work your way in there, brother. You wouldn't be the first in wrestling. It's not uncommon for the sponsor to make his way in there, but we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. I definitely might not want to because I saw my Theo got announced last night, Monster Mac. So I might I'll let him have it. He could get the win there.
Yeah,
he's done it before.
Nobody wants to get in there with Monster Mac. That man is a dangerous, scary dude.
Yeah, definitely so. Again, veteran of the game. But let's start getting into it. Let's start talking about these insane matches for this Saturday. Let's start off with the pre-show here. Let's talk about this. As it was announced, there would be 2 kickoff matches for Saturday. Let's start here with another veteran of the game, especially for the Jersey scene. If you don't know about the sensei himself, the Shaolin himself, Magic, going head to head with Oliver Passion. I think this is a good contrast here, as you have someone still looking to make their way, get their teeth in there, and Oliver Passion going in there with a true OG and Magic. So your thoughts on this one, Harry?
Well, it's one of those pairings that it's a situation where a young guy's trying to make a name for himself. So a guy like Oliver Passion, it's a kickoff show match, it's a pre-show match, but it's a big opportunity for him. He's got to build a repertoire, but he's going up against a guy who is, legendary in this scene, who know a veteran with like Magic, who knows his craft really well, and there's a reason he's been around so long. So this is a big task for Oliver Passion.
Definitely so. And here we go. I see Nettie with the pun there. Does Magic have the passion to win this match?
Mm.
Again, I wouldn't with Magic. It's hard to bet against him, but
He
I
might
can
not need the
imagine.
passion. He might need just a strong fist to the face. That's the thing about Magic. You got to be careful.
Definitely so. And again, he has experience behind him. So this is one
Mm.
where does Oliver have what it takes? Is he scouting properly? Is he studying the tapes here to get ready for a match like this on Saturday? But from that, we go to a match that has these are no strangers to each other. It's a kickoff match. I'm not sure how, because the animosity between these two is insane. Harry, I can imagine you've started to see just what the Deadly Sins have been doing to Titan, and
Well,
just what Blocks has done to a former friend in Mike Harvey.
well, the thing about Blocks is, in addition to just having the intensity that he has, everything going on with the Deadly Sins coming into this, and how I mean, it's just been chaotic. Nobody new members at any given point. Nobody knows what's going on at any given point, and it becomes troublesome for anybody else, but for someone like Mike Harvey. But in addition to that, Blocks has made it very clear he is not thrilled about being on the pre-show. He's not happy about this. He feels like he should be on the main card. He feels like he should be in the main event. And that's a great mentality to have. It really is. You always want to be better. Now, he's in a spot where there's a reason he's in the pre-show to kick this off the right way, but he's angry. He's made no bones about that. He's furious, and he's going to take his anger out on Mike Harvey. It's just going to happen, and it's going to be a difficult situation. And he's got a lot to prove for himself. He wants to prove. He's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's angry about being on the pre-show, and he's going to take that into the ring with him and make an example of Mike Harvey.
Definitely so. But this is one of those things. Again, we called these kickoff matches, but it's something, if you're a competitor in there, take that opportunity. Show Titan management, hey, you might have given me the kickoff, but now I'm gonna set the tone for the rest of the night. Follow
Yeah.
that. If I'm Blocks, again, especially with what Deadly Sins are doing, make sure it's an unforgettable kickoff. Make sure, hey, with the stat card like this, make sure everyone is talking about you. Because I know that's what the Deadly Sins want to do. They have some antics to do that, but do it in the ring. Do it when it counts, and do it against someone like Mike Harvey. So
Mm, yeah, it's not, and you got to remember, when you're taking on Blocks of the Deadly Sins, you're not just taking on Blocks. The Deadly Sins are never far behind in that situation, and he's gonna have to show why he deserves to be in the main card.
definitely so. And again, this is why I'm trying to make sure not to say anything to
Disparaging.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely against the Deadly Sins here, because I feel like they're always watching, and I would like to be able to enjoy Mount Olympus this November. And I don't want to have my eyes behind my back there. But let's keep it going here. Let's
Mhm.
go into this one, as again, I feel like it's another proving ground match for Jay Outcast, as he's going head to head with a man I know very well, the capo himself, absolute Chris Cage. Harry, your thoughts on this one? Getting to see just the what Jay Outcast has had to do in order to, again, I guess, prove himself not only to TCW management, but to the TCW strong.
Well, that's the thing, wrestling is such a competitive business, and there's so many people, especially in this territory, so to speak, the New York area, one of the best independent scenes in the world. I mean, I have people contacting me from around the world who want to be part of the scene. I have a guy from France who wants this kid. He's 21 years old. He won't stop hitting me up. He wants to come here. He's going to be here. He's trying to get on the show. I'm like, trying to help him out. It's such a competitive scene that when you find yourself out, whether it's due to injury, whether it's due to personal issues, whatever it is, you come back and you're not in the same spot anymore. You're just not. And you have to work your way up. Everything you did yesterday, everything you did last year, none of that matters. You have to work your way up. And so, for Jay Outcast and Chris Cage, that's what this means to them. This is the start where they have to build everything block by block, and this is their opportunity to do that at this card.
Well, then look at this. We got Nettie saying here, Jay Outcast round 2 will murder Chris Cage. Damn, we're getting murder promises here in the chat. Let's not say murder on YouTube.
Yeah.
Chris Cage might have the upper hand last time, but Jerry will show Chris Cage how to embrace the Outcast. Well, then I guess we know who Nettie's putting her money on. But
yeah,
usually I try to stay unbiased when it comes to these, and especially preview shows. But like I said, I know the capo a little too well. I don't think Chris Cage is walking out of Saturday without a victory, especially looking to prove why he should be not only in Mount Olympus, but should be in higher spots on the card as he would like to be.
Well, that's the other thing is people want a spot in Mount Olympus. And, it doesn't. There's a lot of people who want those spots. It's a big opportunity. And they're not just handing them away to people who aren't proving their worth. So it's a night for Chris Cage to do that.
Definitely so. But let's keep it going here, as this one I'm looking forward to, as it will be a man I've had on the podcast before. Trey Felipe's in there against Jay the Key Evans. Two young guns, two young up-and-comers have definitely made their ways, not only in the tri-state, but all around. And I'm looking forward to see what happens here, because I can imagine they're both looking forward to maybe getting a shot at that light heavyweight championship, or who knows, maybe even that middleweight championship when it comes to Titan Championship wrestling.
Well, those divisions are so competitive that, that's why there is no sort of, you talk about a pre-show, you talk about the opening match, none of that matters. What matters is what you do when you step foot in the ring, and a victory propels you. It's so competitive in the middleweight and the lightweight, and we've been putting on great matches over at Titan for the run of it, as I've been watching, before I even was part of the company. And so it's a big opportunity. I know for Jay Evans, this is a hometown game. It's a home game.
Yep.
He's from Hoboken, and he's probably going to have some family. He's probably going to have friends. But listen, it can go one of two ways. You can use that to motivate you, or it could be a huge distraction. You got family members. Family members are a pain in the rump. They just are. People calling you because they can't find parking. Hey, can you hook me up with this number of tickets? Hey, can you let me in the back door? Hey, I didn't bring enough money. It can be a nuisance. That's why people don't sign in their hometown. Everyone always talks about so-and-so is a free agent. They're coming back to their hometown. You want to get away from all that. So all that puts a lot of pressure on you too in front of your own family, because the last thing you want to do is drag people out, have them pay for tickets and then watch you count the lights from the floor. So there's a lot more pressure that comes with that. So it's up to Jay Evans to figure out how he's going to use that. Is he going to use that as a motivator, or is it going to be a detriment? And the same for Trey Felipe. Is he going to be able to take advantage of it? Because it doesn't matter to him. He doesn't care who's in the crowd. He doesn't have family and friends there. So it's just a matter of focus as far as I'm concerned with this. And whoever ends up winning this, they could be in contention for middleweight and lightweight opportunities.
Definitely so. And again, I can imagine. Oh, my apologies for the dog.
No,
but when it comes to Trey Felipe, again, I've seen what he can do. I know what he brings to the table, and Jay Evans as well. I've gotten to see his young upstart to now where he's gone. But it's one of those where now, again, the home game definitely plays into it. But also for Trey Felipe, I saw later in the card, we'll talk about it, but he has some friends that will be involved on Saturday. So you never know. Maybe he will also have some backup when it comes to Savage Intentions. But you never know.
Fair enough.
But we'll keep it going here. Let's talk about this one, as it will be, I mentioned it earlier, the lightweight championship on the line, as the new champion, Daniel Alexander, will be defending here in a 4-way contest. Let's talk about this, Harry. What are your thoughts on the lightweight division? Because it's definitely been an eye-opener here to get to see just the insane action that's come out of that division there.
Well, I'll tell you this. As a commentator, it's always difficult to call these lightweight matches because the action is so fast and so furious that it's hard to keep track of it. It's entertaining, but it just makes my job very difficult. So I have mixed feelings about it because I'm enjoying what I'm seeing, but also it's a pain for me to try to keep track of these guys bouncing back and forth. But Daniel Alexander, it just at the beginning of his title reign, hopefully for him, as the lightweight champion. The thing is this. this is one of those situations that is very difficult for a champion. It's a 4-way match against a lot of very young, competitive, hungry competitors. Andre Polino, the Dominican daredevil, that kid's nuts. He's out of his mind. A lot of talent, a lot of guts. Sometimes I question how much brains he has, or if
Hey,
he listens to, if he has a voice in his head that tells him something's a bad idea. I don't know if you saw what TJ Marconi did to him
I was gonna
at the
say
last show.
he has definitely a lot of heart though. I've seen what he says. I've seen he can talk the talk, but he definitely he can walk the walk because he had the heart to stand toe to head to chest
Yeah,
with the main attraction TJ Marconi. And it's one of those where I commend him though, because he can take a beating but keeps on ticking. Like he
yeah.
gets back up and he's willing to come back here. He's back at Savage Intentions, and I can imagine he's not looking to suffer a loss again.
No, he's not. And he's trying. But the big thing, I mean, he's got a lot of heart, which is, he's willing to put all of it on there. He's out of his mind, but full of heart, whatever that's worth to you. But champions are made that way. Okay.
Definitely so.
Now, you got two other young competitors, Justin Bon Jovi, Flash Carter. This is a big opportunity for them, and it's interesting because when you look at the statistics of this, you'll say that the champion has the disadvantage here, because the champion, he has 3 people that he has to beat. He has to beat one of them. He has to pin somebody. In the reverse, he doesn't have to be pinned at all, and he could lose this, and there's 3 other people vying for that opportunity. So it requires a lot of focus. I'll say this. I don't know why he would agree to do this. Daniel Alexander, he's for the people. He wants to please everybody, and that's a mistake because you end up in a situation like this where you have your championship on the line against 3 other competitors, and you don't have to be pinned to lose your championship. That's absurd. And I'll tell you this, if I was his manager, if he was with the Terjanian talent agency, this would never happen. I'd never let one of my clients into a situation where they have to compete against 3 people trying to dethrone him. And so, but what do you expect? This is a guy hanging out with the kids. He's all for the kids. He comes out dancing. His
Come on,
entourage.
Harry, are you not a fan of the puppets? Like, come on.
He's hanging out with preteens and puppets. Yeah, Jordan the Star, who I heard got kicked out of Sesame Street. I don't want to go into that. I just have information. I think it's just a lot of showmanship, and I get it. He's trying to be the energy. He's Mr. 1-800 Bangers, but his focus is not in the ring. All the talent in the world, but his focus is about entertaining the public and being a friend to the kids and the future, and that might catch up to him in a situation where you got 3 other competitors as eager and hungry as these 3 are.
Oh, definitely so. And again, it would, I know good old pal SP would not be too pleased if I don't mention just what Flash Carter is bringing to the table. Again, the son of former GM, good old SP Anderson. I know he's coming in to try to win here at Titan. His record is not the best when it comes to TCW. He's already gone into it with current TCW tag team champions Johnny Moran and Aaron Roxas. I know he's hoping to get some momentum back. And what a win here, especially when it's for the lightweight championship, what it could do for his career here.
Well, I don't even want to get into the nepotism from SP Anderson, but this is another indication of that. I believe this was one of the last matches he set up, which is a very, very dubious, but it's not my place to say. He's out of power now, so we can't even do an investigation or anything about that. It's a little dubious, but what can I say? I have said too much. I said too much.
Yep, we're just gonna move on. We're gonna move on to
it's better that way.
another matchup here, and it's going to be a huge tag team matchup. A matchup I'm definitely looking forward to seeing because it features 2 of the best going at it today. It's going to be CMD. That is the Prince of Camden himself, Deshaun Pratt, and the Nuketown Dragon Boom Harden taking on Johnny Santos and Sebastian Cage, aka First Class. This matchup, the first time I ever got to see them collide, again, it was a masterpiece, and I know they're looking to run another insane contest on Saturday. Harry, your thoughts on this one? And I'm hoping you know how good First Class is because they bring that
I've
First
seen
Class
tape.
flight.
I've seen tape, and this is going to be my first opportunity to see them as a tag team. I know I've seen Sebastian Cage before. In fact, he's one of the first matches I ever called was a Sebastian Cage match. So I've watched him grow from a skinny little runt to a professional wrestler, starting out and learning his craft. So this is a guy who's been around a long time. And he's finally getting to do the work is coming together at the right time. And it's just you got to wonder about the personal animosity in this match. You know, there's a lot of personal blood here. It's a rematch, and does that play a factor into your psyche going in to this type of matchup? And you can't let it affect you. You can't forget, you know, again, this is a big contest. There's already a lot of people talking about how good the last match was and how good these teams are, that you're now bringing up, like, well, the potential here, and that can get to people. The expectations become very high, and you're focused on, you know, pleasing the crowd or living up to the hype, and you forget about winning. And that can be a situation that's I don't have a favorite in this contest. I'm just excited to see it. And it's going to be another one that's going to be a pain for me to call, because it's going to be crazy. It's going to be all over the place in the best way possible, which is hard work for me, but I can handle it.
Got you. No, definitely. And again, all I could say is just get ready for that first class flight. Get ready for what Unk, Deshaun Pratt, and Boom Harden bring to the table. Two teams that are no strangers. Again, two insane tag team divisions holding championships almost everywhere they go. I believe Deshaun Pratt and Boom Harden just winning recently. The wrestling is now tag team championships. So again, both of these teams looking to prove it here and looking to get their stake at holding those TCW tag team titles. But let's keep it going here. Let's move on to the next contest we're going to talk about here, which is the American Championship here that is being held currently by Ken Powers, as going head to head with Public Enemy number one, the just true attraction here, TJ Marconi. And Harry, your thoughts on this one? Because unfortunately I have to be a little biased when it comes to this one, just a little. But I'll allow you to start off here.
Well, you know, I mean, it's you got two big names like this, you know, of this New York scene. TJ Marconi in particular. I mean, literally a big name. This guy's big, and he's tough and he's strong. I had the pleasure of watching him. Well, not the pleasure of watching him tear the Dominican werewolf apart. The Dominican daredevil, excuse me, Andre Polino apart. I mean, he beat him hard. He's a tough guy. He's a big tough guy, and you know, he's another one. He's spent a lot of time pleasing the fans and all that. Say what you will about that. I don't care about all that. The guy's got a lot going on. I don't know if you're familiar with TJ Marconi. The guy doesn't travel by himself. I don't mean with people. I mean, this guy's got a merch table that I've never seen. The guy's literally selling soap. He's an entrepreneur. He's got a lot going on, and he's very successful. But, you know, I don't know if that's going to take away from the focus here on a championship. You know, for TJ Marconi, this winning this championship is great, but he's looking at it like, hey, how many more bars of Dr. Squatch soap can I sell? You know, that's the type of mentality that TJ Marconi has. But make no mistake about it, he's a tough cookie. He's a tough cannoli. The guy is tough. He's big and he's strong. But Ken Powers is a champion for a reason.
This is true, but again, and look at that. I guess Nettie, she has her. Oh wait, I just saw what she called him. She has to call him TJ Macaroni.
TJ Macaroni, just for this month. Is that what? Because it's Italian Heritage Month. Is that?
I guess so. It was Happy Italian Heritage Month to all those that celebrate. But again, like I said, I had to be a little biased here just because again, it's the Don, it's the Thanos of the Northeast. And Harry, again, I know you've seen the merch table, you see what he brings, but I don't know if you've also seen TJ's gear bag. He is no stranger to holding gold. At one point, holding almost 5 separate heavyweight championships, and he's still holding 3 of those at this point
without a doubt. The man is a monster. He's a beast. He's somebody to be reckoned with, and it's a tough situation for Ken Powers.
Yeah,
you know, to have to defend your title against Public Enemy number one, TJ Marconi. So this is going to be a big hoss fight, as we like to call it. So this is not going to be the lightweight division, but it's going to be entertaining for a whole other plethora of reasons.
No, definitely. So again, this is one where I hope Hoboken can handle this, because might need to up the insurance just for it to hold these two Goliaths when it comes to Saturday's event. But let's keep it going here, which I believe it's another championship match. And I was correct, as it will be the middleweight championship now. We go from the heavyweights back to the middleweights here, as it will be the new middleweight champion himself, the greatest showman, Jocko, going head to head with a man I've had on here before. I've actually had both of these men on the podcast before, as it will be all in one, Michael Fane. And Harry, your thoughts on these? Because I feel like you might be a fan of what Michael Fane brings to the table.
Yeah, I like the intensity. I like the mentality. I was there in person at the last show when Jocko was crowned the middleweight champion. And I said from the beginning it would, he calls himself the greatest showman, and he'd have to put the greatest show on earth to win, and somehow he did. He did just that, beating Ray Kalitri, and in a triple threat match, dethroning Ray Kalitri after a massively successful run. And it's just a question for me of focus with Jocko. I've met Jocko. He's a weird dude. He's an odd bird. The man is he's a strange fella. And you don't know how do you prepare for a guy that's that odd and peculiar? And the reality is, at the end of the day, he does have the skill. I can't take it away from him. He's the middleweight champion. But there's a difference between winning that championship and staying the champ. There are moments, it's an opportunity for him to prove, hey, this was no fluke. This was well-deserved. But this is really where the work begins. In any other championship, any other sport, you're talking about football, you talk about hockey. When you win the championship, the season is over. When you win a championship in wrestling, your season is just beginning.
This is true. And again, I think this is where a man like Jocko thrives, though, because I feel like you nailed it there. How do you prepare for such an unpredictable talent? Because we've seen the promos that Jocko cuts. We've seen how he moves in that ring. It's very he's so precise, but so unpredictable that it's one of those where Michael Fain might be able to study. He might be looking at what it took Jocko to win this championship, which again, who knows if that's the same Jocko we get Saturday? Who knows what he brings to the table?
He is so unpredictable. I didn't predict him beating both Ray Kalitri and Nikos Rikos, both middleweight champions at one point.
Yep.
So, you don't know what you're going to expect. So who knows what we're going to get from him. But, this is up to Michael Fain. How can he take advantage of it? So we could see a very short title reign. It's possible. And I could see that happening.
Definitely so. Again, I'll steal a line from the Theos, the SAT. I guess you're going to have to expect the unexpected. You never know what could happen at Savage Intentions this Saturday. But we keep it going now as we're going to talk about the Titan Championship Wrestling Tag Team Championships being defended in a triple threat contest. Somehow, some way, the Deadly Sins have gotten their way into a tag team championship match. I can only imagine how. I feel bad for TCW management because I can imagine they had to do some heinous acts here in order to get in this. As it would be Frankie Picard and just saying. Again, I'm just saying.
How they got in, that's none of my business. All right, that's their business. I don't know how they got in, but the point is they're in, and that's all that matters. By hook or by crook, they're getting an opportunity. Triple threat. And again, this is a situation, triple threat championship match that the tag team champions are at a tremendous disadvantage. But here's the thing, they're at an even more significant. If everything was just straightforward, they'd be at a massive disadvantage in a triple threat tag team championship match. But we're in a situation where Aaron Roxas is not going to be in attendance.
Wait, no. Aaron Roxas will be.
He is. Sorry.
It's Johnny Moran, unfortunately.
So we're in a situation where Johnny Moran had a previously scheduled engagement, told management that he had a previously scheduled engagement. They were willing to defend these championships on the September show. It was told that they weren't needed. And somehow management is coming through and deciding that they have to defend these championships, even though Johnny Moran has specifically stated that he could not be there. He has a very important personal matter to attend to. And I think this is more of a situation. We talked about SP Anderson and in my opinion, his mismanagement, his nepotism and favoritism. And I thought things would change when we'd get somebody new in charge. But I guess Monster Mac is doing the exact same thing here. Because how this is fair to the champions, I don't understand. And poor Aaron Roxas has to defend this on his own. He has to defend the tag team championships on his own. Hardly seems fair. This is clearly clearly a bias against these two. And it's just the long lineage that's defined their championship reign and their experience, and it's not fair to them.
No, definitely.
And I would have let it happen if I was managing him. That's all I'm saying.
Definitely not. And it's one of those where even the last time I had Aaron Roxas and Johnny Moran on, I started to understand where they come from. I'm starting to understand why their message is so crucial. And again, I don't want to say management has an agenda against them, but Who am I to
I don't
disagree
know
with
what
you
else you could
here?
say. Why else would they do this? There was no other solution around this. It's a tag team championship match. You don't got a tag team there. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, this is
It's like running a racehorse that has a broken leg. You can't do that. That's not right.
so again, already this match alone, if both members were in, they're already at a disadvantage. But now they're defending basically in a handicap match here. Again, I know Aaron Rox is a great competitor, but if I was a betting man, unfortunately, I don't think I see them retaining on Saturday. But we'll see what happens when it comes to Savage Intentions.
I don't even want to put that
This
out in the
Saturday.
universe. That's all I'm saying.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But let's go into it now as we're about to talk about two huge matches. Let's talk about a match that definitely could main event any card that it is on, as it will be the Long Island landmine himself, life changing Joe Ocasio going head to head with the Stone Pitbull himself, the governor, Martin Stone. So, Harry, you gotten to see what Martin Stone can do in that ring. I believe you got to see what Joe Ocasio can do in that ring as well. Your thoughts on this just huge collision on Saturday?
Well, Joe Ocasio, we're no strangers to the things that he's done here, especially in this scene, all around the world, but, in particular locally here in the New York scene, which to me is almost not even an independent scene. It's that competitive. He's made a name for himself. He has a reputation here, and that is specifically the reason that Martin Stone has picked him out of anybody else to compete against, because Martin Stone, he has a chip on his shoulder, both figuratively and literally. The man has had 2 shoulder surgeries in the he's a guy trying to, he was in the big time, and let's make no mistake about it. You wrestle for the passion, but it does bother you when you're at the peak, at the #1 company in the world, and then you're on the outs, and you feel like you have to prove something. And Martin Stone definitely feels like he has to prove something every time he steps into this ring, and especially at Titan. So there's a reason he's seeking out Joe Ocasio, because he knows that defeating him propels him to another level, and that's what it's about. He wants to work his way back up rung by rung on that ladder. And you see the effort that Martin Stone has put in, not just in the training, but the physique. He's put on at least 20 pounds of solid muscle. He's as vicious and as violent as he's ever been. I mean, he doesn't even wear wrestling trunks anymore. He shows up in jeans and boots to let you know that he's there for a fight, period. So I'm looking very much forward to that. Seeing that, and it's an opportunity for both of these guys, because what would it mean for Joe Ocasio to beat Martin Stone?
No, definitely so. And again, when it comes to, we're less than a month away from Mount Olympus as well. Joe Ocasio last night being announced as one of the entrants already in Mount Olympus. So imagine going into a match like this on Saturday, going into Mount Olympus less than a month away. I can imagine he wants to be able to steamroll through a huge competitor like uh, Martin Stone
Martin
here and
Stone,
have
yes.
that momentum. But also, again, when you mention what Martin Stone has accomplished so far, a former NXT tag team champion, a man that has traveled the world and continues to prove why he's one of the best pure athletes out there. So this is definitely going to be one you're not going to want to miss. And like I said, a match where it might not even just be a match. It truly might just be a fight on
Yeah.
Saturday night.
It will be a
But
sellout at the monitors. Let's put that very clearly.
yeah, definitely so. Definitely so. And here we go. We got Casey Lycan. Casey, again, we talked about your match. We talked about what that triple threat match will be. Throne looking to win tag team gold here, but I'm just my recommendation. Maybe make sure you focus on winning tag gold instead of what you and the Deadly Sins have been going through for the last couple months. But we'll keep going here. We'll keep going as we are now down to the reason this event is now called Savage Intention. This is going to be a true just savage collision, as it will be for that Titan Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Championship and the Funhouse Wrestling Heavyweight Championships, as it will be Dr. Sleep, my best friend, Anthony Gangone, defending against PJ Savage. Harry, your thoughts on this huge collision on Saturday?
Well, it's a big matchup. This has been coming to a head for a long time. I have my history with Anthony Gangone. It hasn't always been pleasant, but the mind frame he's in now is, no matter all the differences we've had, I've always had respect for his ability. It's just his mentality that I thought needed work. And now he's in the right mind frame. And he's the champion for a reason. And he has been champion for, a long time, over a year. And he is in the right mind frame for this. And he's going to need it. And I'll tell you why he's going to need it. Because this, I've talked briefly about the nepotism from SB Anderson and everything that has gone down. And again, I thought it would be much better when he was gone. And then we find out Monster Mac is there. And what's the first thing that Monster Mac does? He makes this championship match so that PJ Savage has an opportunity to win the championship against Anthony Gangone. I mean, the name of the event is Savage Intentions. I mean, it seems like they're setting this up as an opportunity. It's as if it's a coronation. I mean, all they're missing, they did everything but, order the robes for PJ Savage. The expectation is that it's his event, that this is his coming out party, that this is his big moment. But guess what? Just like, we thought it was Cody Rhodes' big moment in WrestleMania. Just because everybody wills it doesn't make it so. Okay. And Anthony Gangone has the skill level. There's a reason he's Dr. Sleep. There's a reason he has held so much gold and for so long in his career. And so, it's a big buildup, but that's going to be sweeter when Anthony Gangone spoils the party for PJ Savage at his own event.
Well, then, no, definitely. And again, before we get into that, though, I see already who is joining us in the chat now. Well, hello, Blocks. Again, I would like to just send all nice regards to the Deadly Sins as I would like to not have to look behind my back. But here we go. Casey Lycan also saying, this is all I have to say in regards to my match, Ezekiel 25:17. Well then, for everyone doing the home game, look up that verse and you'll understand what he means. But let's now go into, again, the championship match here and just the story here. What we've seen throughout the months, this truly is the championship match. Seeing what Anthony Gangone has felt has almost been a championship run where we're starting to see they're forgetting he is the world champion. He felt almost as if Titan is just they've left PJ Savage as the centerpiece.
Well, that's what they want.
After event, we're seeing PJ in the main event when Anthony Gangone is champion.
And this is part of why you see the attitude about Anthony Gangone. Everybody was asking why the change of heart from Anthony Gangone, why he turned on PJ Savage, why at his own event honoring him, why did he have to do it then? Because he's seen it for a long time, the level of disrespect, even as a champion. He doesn't have an event. It's Savage Intentions for the number one contender for the championship, but not the champion. And so this is the level of disrespect that he's faced, which is why after the number of years that he's been in this business, he deserves better. And he has taken it upon himself to show everybody just why he is the best on this independent scene, why he's the best in the New York area, why he's the best in general, period. And this is going to be another opportunity for him. And, you could look at it as this being unfair. This is not right. And I agree with all those things, but it's happening. There's nothing we can do to stop it. Anthony's tried everything he can legally to stop it. It's going down. So now all that's left is for him to spoil the party. That's all he can do. And that's what he has to use as motivation going into Savage Intentions for this championship match.
No, definitely so. And again, I heard the words that was released earlier today, the statement Anthony Gangone released. And it's one of those where we could talk about unfairness. We could talk about special treatment by Titan management. But end of the day, again, knowing my friend as I do, I know he's definitely up for the fight. He's never run away from a fight before, and looking to see what happens on Saturday. It's going to be a match. It's a reason why all of you, if you haven't already, make sure you get your tickets. Be there this Saturday in Hoboken and see truly a just insane collision.
I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of independent companies in the New York, New Jersey area, and you have plenty to choose from. You really do. You got a lot of variety. I'm going to tell you something now from just seeing it in person. You're missing out if you don't check out Titan, if you don't jump on board. You have an opportunity to be part of it now. And, if you're in the New York City area, especially coming out to Hoboken, because it's an experience. It really is an experience. The quality is great, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And they're proud to have me, let's be honest, as well. So it's a mutual pride thing. But you're missing out if you don't check this out. Out of all the companies you want to check out, come and check out Titan. It really is worth every penny that you spend. You get you get everything you wanted out of entertainment, and this is the way professional wrestling should be done.
Definitely so. I agree with that. And here we go. Well, I guess good to
Or
know.
if you can't be there, check it out on Premiere, by the way. We're on Premiere now, and you can hear my beautiful voice on Premiere as well.
Definitely. But I see Blocks putting you're one of my favorites. So you're safe for now, Ray.
Oh, there you go.
Good to know that I'm safe. Well then. I hope it stays that way. I hope it stays that way. But Harry, before we start wrapping this up, because I know you are a busy man, I want to let you go here. I have to ask you the final question, and that is for Harry Terjanian here. What is the end goal, brother?
You know, as far as being in the wrestling business, what is the end goal for me? You know, I just love doing it. And obviously I'd love to keep going further and do it more and do it on a higher level, but you're always looking to do more, just like everybody else who steps in the ring. You want, what is the next big thing that I can do? And but honestly, I just have a passion for it. I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy getting to create a story, getting to be part of something creative. And I enjoy seeing this amazing talent that they have at Titan. And there's a lot of amazing talent. So, like I said, definitely come and check it out. It's this Saturday in Hoboken. Come and check that out. And if you can't check that out this Saturday, definitely look us up on Premiere, because all the Titan shows are now going up on Premiere, and you can hear my beautiful voice. So let's see.
Like we said earlier, it definitely will have a little more oomph to it by Saturday. So definitely stay tuned to that. And again, go check out Titan Championship Wrestling on Premiere as well. But also don't forget, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you're following Harry on all of his social media there. Follow him on Instagram there, Harry Terjanian. Follow him on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Harry Terjanian there. Follow Titan Championship Wrestling and get your tickets as well. Follow them on Instagram there, Titan Championship Wrestling. Follow them on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Titan Champions 1. Brother, thank you so much again for joining us here. I'm glad you got out of the woods, because the last time I saw you, unfortunately, you were getting taken away. But
it was a long ride out of the woods, both figuratively and literally. But here I am, and at the end of it, you can't keep a good man down, and Mr. Entertainment will not be kept down. So I'm glad I'm part of an amazing team that realizes my talents, realizes my brilliance, and Titan Championship Wrestling is my new home. I'm proud to be there. And I just want to say, come out this Saturday. And if you can't come out this Saturday, check it out on Premiere. And as always, consider yourself entertained.
There you go. And guys, thank you so much. As always, don't forget to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people, respect the craft. And we'll see you guys on the next one.